Hello, good evening, and welcome to another wonderful edition of this great program, Eye on Port. It is live on Metro Television at this point in time. Tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. it will be on GH1. On Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. it will be on Ghana Television. Also, quite a number of newspapers publish the what transpires on this platform, as well as Ghana Web, the Business and Financial Times, the Graphic Business, and all of that. This program is proudly brought to you by Goyle Company Limited, also Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Ghana Revenue Authority, Ghana Community Network Services, that is GCNet, and West Blue Consulting. So last week we talked about how we do healthy trading and to ensure that we have a very healthy lifestyle in this particular season, the festive season, because there's a lot of buying and selling. People are buying food items, people are buying drinks, people are buying gadgets, utensils, and everything. So how do we ensure that we have effective and healthy buying and selling, and also ensure that whatever we're going to consume within this season is very healthy? And because a lot of all these things, about 90% of the imports, the things that you use at home, either gadgets, utensils, or the food that you even consume, come from the port, we felt that this is the best time to discuss healthy trading. So that's going to be the topic. We will continue this week because quite a number of important developments have followed since last week when we had the first part of the program. The Food and Drugs Authority, for instance, has withdrawn 16 tomato paste from the market. We will be finding out why and whether indeed they have been able to recall all these products from the market, so that it prevents you from getting into the market hoping to buy something to eat within this season and you end up buying something that has been banned. So all of that going to be discussed here in the next 1.5 hours or so with the right experts, and I will introduce them pretty shortly. In the meantime, number of news and activities around the port industries. The Fishing Harbour, for instance, has engaged the stakeholders at the 4th quarter edition, and also there's a Global Diving and Training Institute that has been developed by the Ghana Professional Divers and Underwaters Welders. All of that have happened within this week. Take a listen, and when we come back, our main subject.
Harbour has met with its stakeholders for its 4th quarterly stakeholder engagement to assess the progress of activities at the Fishing Harbour. The 4th quarter stakeholders meeting was also an opportunity to update them about the status of ongoing development. Acting General Manager of Fishing Harbour, Joanna Ada, revealed that projects such as reconstruction of the Chemu trapezoid drains, street naming, and construction of health posts at TEMA Fishing Harbour are steadily progressing.
The fishing community have been craving for the reconstruction of the Chemu Lagoon. Over 20 years, we are told that they had been asking that they would want the Chemu Lagoon to be reconstructed. Thank God, this time the GPHA budgeted, and we are going to, I think work has already started.
Joanna Ada added that GPHA has handed over a portion of the boat yard in Idado Company to use as a cold store, but the rest of the yard remains useful for boat yard activities. She stated that GPHA has outlined a new payment plan to collect the accrued rent of those occupying GPHA's properties, and said the deadlines had been extended to June 2020.
6 more months. Say kakra ebedru June na chesa maiden matuawie.
She also said the newly revised GPHA tariffs has begun implementation.
I know some of you are already aware because the tariff is applicable as at today. It is ready, and then we are applying it.
Another notable development disclosed was the concept of an emergency road exit at the Fishing Harbour, and according to Engineer Kwabena Asamoah, Port Civil Engineer, consultants have been engaged to conduct feasibility studies.
Consultant washe ejuma ase na wode The first report, Abre.
Acting President of National Fisheries Association of Ghana, Simon Aga, commended GPHA for the emergency exit initiative and called for expedited process for its construction.
If anything should happen now, we have no exit, so we commend you. But we hope that you will go beyond the feasibility and actually put it into the budget for next year.
Other members of the fishing business community welcomed these projects with praise. They also expressed their gratitude to the late Kumi Ejay Sam, former general manager of the TEMA fishing harbour, who was very instrumental in the success of projects at the fishing harbour.
Ejay Sam, oketechi oka osi adeyo waye de kanyina no yene ne kan ampa waye.
Groundbreaking ceremony in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
A groundbreaking ceremony has been held at the Regional Maritime University to commence construction of a global diving and training institute, which when finished would serve as a professional diving and underwater welding training facility. The facility is expected to sit on a total land area of approximately 4,188 square meters and would consist of an administration block, technical block, classroom block, diving tanks, and a deck. According to the Vice Chancellor of RMU, Professor Elvis Nyako, the Global Diving Institute has a 5-year agreement in place to jointly run operations with the Regional Maritime University. He said this initiative would provide students of RMU the opportunity to venture into key maritime operations such as near-shore diving, deep-sea diving, as well as inland water diving.
There are times when a vessel may go aground or equipment would need to be salvaged from the deep-sea environment, and people with such skills will be able to go down there and salvage those equipment.
He also said this, in addition to underwater welding training, is very opportune for Ghanaians to consolidate the investments made in the oil and gas services sector.
Those people also, who acquire this training, they will be able to do underwater welding, because a lot of the oil and gas jobs are also subsea. They are done beneath the sea, not just on the surface of the sea. So people who know how to dive and have welding skills can do underwater welding as well.
Dr. Kojo Edusei Fosu, CEO of the Global Diving and Training Institute, revealed that his team consists of ex-US Navy divers and ex-British Navy divers who would deliver expert training to students who would enroll in the institute.
I have partners that are actually ex-US Navy divers, ex-British Navy divers that were instructors in this oil and gas field for a combination of 100 years. And they're going to be bringing the expertise to train Ghanaians, like students at RMU and the Navy and anybody that wants to partake in this.
He explained the benefits Ghana would derive from trained divers and underwater welding professionals.
If we've got our Ghanaian people doing this job, the revenue, as a matter of fact, is about $500 to $900 a day in income. If you extrapolate that to a month, it's about $15,000 income. That is money staying in here, as opposed to these guys bringing people from the outside. So yes, for the local content and for the local economy, it's going to increase revenue.
Okay, so those are some of the issues that are happening around the port. We have a diving training institute, and as well as the activities around the fishing harbour there. Now, we're still going to talk about our main subject, that's healthy trading and lifestyle within this period of the festive season. And my guest for this particular assignment is going to be Roderick Dade Ajayi. He's the acting head of food division of the Food and Drugs Authority. So it's from his outfit. They are the ones telling everybody to bring some of those tin tomatoes. We'll play that story to you. We'll mention all the the tomato paste, I should say, that is being recalled from the market. Also, Jacob Amuako Mensah is the head of import and export for the Food and Drugs Authority. So he's manning the gate where these products are supposedly supposed to come from. Operations, well, import. Operations, import, and export. Okay, good. Jake was here last week when we began the first part of this conversation. The Next person that wasn't here as well as Roderick is Dr. Vitus. Doc, Victor is part of your first name as well?
Victor is my second name.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So Dr. Vitus Victor Anabisi is the head of health and medical services for TEMA Port. So Doc is in charge of the health and medical services around the ports there. We'll be asking him questions about how we deal with some of the foods that are not wholesome that we end up consuming in the market, as well as how important is even what we take in, whether they are being imported or they are being produced in this country. All of that will come up right after the break. Stay with us.
Further. New Gold Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes have been expertly crafted with the latest in liquid engineering technology, highly advanced for modern engines, prolongs oil change intervals, save you fuel, clean, protect, and enhance engine performance. The way engines work has become complex, and GOIL has innovated to stay ahead. Expertly crafted lubricant that work excellently with all petrol and diesel engines of today. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. Innovation that takes you further. GOIL. Good energy.
Ghana ye yenya ya sase o my kesia ye kan ye hubom ye adwumaden ye be ye kese pa ye nto a ye tuatua ne da no ene ne ye de sisi suku adan ne ayaresabia ade bi yi akwan am ye nya asetena pa ene ne papi eto obi te say withholding tax, income tax, excise tax stamp ene afoforo pi wo ho a ebia na wo mu sembisa fa de wo sawutia nkasa ho enu nti ne ye wo ho ma wo ne se ye beboa wo eto aketewa bia boa mesrawo boa ne peja Ghanaians wo yentuo ye dachi.
To our staff, this year has been a bit challenging, but your tremendous efforts have made it possible to sail through the year. May this Christmas bring a lot of joy to you and your families. We hope to see a lot of commitment and motivation towards excellent service delivery in the coming year to reach new heights. To our cherished customers, your hard work and support helped us to grow and face the difficult times. We are all like one big family. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a successful New Year. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Happy Shapo.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Happy hip, 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 hooray!
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year!
Happy Shabbat, oh, bless you, baby. Happy Shabbat, come to you.
Okay, welcome back to the program. It's Ion Port, and we are live. The guest again, Roderick Dade Ajay, is the acting head of Food Division, Food and Drugs Authority. Roderick, pleasure to have you in the studio. Dr. Vitus Victor Anabisi is the head of Health Medical Services, TEMA Port. Once again, Doc, pleasure to have you. Jacob Amwako Mensah, head of Import and Export Operations, Food and Drugs Authority, coming from the port. Also, pleasure to have you, Jake. Roderick, I will start with you. This week we had some important announcement coming from your outfit. 16 tomato paste, brands of tomato paste, recalled from the market. Why?
Well, thank you very much. Why? Because we believe that they don't have to be on the market, and that it's a risk for some section of the population. As part of our work, we have what we call the Market Surveillance Department. Now, what the Market Surveillance Department does is to, go through the market, comb through the market to find out whether what we have on our shelves, whether they are okay and as required by law. Now, before you bring a product into the country, you are supposed to register the product. The registration actually entails FDA taking a critical look at the product that you bring in. And when we are satisfied with it through lab analysis, as well as what we call certificate of analysis that you submit, you know, the registration is a whole process. When we go through it and we are satisfied, then we give you what we call a pre-market authorization, where you can now bring in the product. Now, when you bring in the product, you know, you have a 3-year, let me say, period that your registration is good, that you bring in. So the question is, how do you, or what do you bring in after? Are you maintaining the standards, or are you doing something different? You know, because of food fraud, people sometimes try to cut corners then so that they can get certain high margins. And so what happened in this particular case is our routine job. It's not because it's Christmas.
Okay.
From the beginning of the year, we keep on just going through the market. We pick products and then we analyze. So as part of the analysis, then it showed that what is supposed to be a paste, these ones that we have listed and we've brought out, we found out that they had actually been adulterated. And they had been adulterated with starch. Yes, and then if you use that, you would have to then try to make up for the color. So then they use erythrocin to you know, color it back as red, so that then you will not be able to catch on onto it. And the interesting thing is that the law actually forbids these products, these ingredients in the product. And so it actually mentions them in the standard that erythrocin is not allowed in paste. If you're going to buy tomatoes, it is tomato paste. It's paste that you want. You know, it's the tomato fruit that you want. So if somebody tries to substitute, you know, by scooping some of the tomato out and then to make up for the volume, puts in the starch, you know, the coloration will change. And then with the erythrocin, hey presto, you are back in business. And so this is what actually happened. And so these also are not registered.
They are not registered.
They are not registered, which means, you know, they came in as, I mean, a stranger, your guess is as good as mine. And so when we do what we call the market surveillance, we pick up on these things and we go after those who do that, and the necessary sanctions now come in. So as we have just laid it out there, it's because those who are supposed to be taking it out are not doing it, and we are looking for them. We have found some of them, and we are dealing with them as it is. And as part of our work, like I said, it is not like it's homed in only on these perpetrators.
Okay.
It was wider. Actually, we did let's say about 70 plus, you know, brands as we looked at. Yes. So if you see the message that we sent out, the press release, we said that if we come across any other, you know, we would bring it out. And I think that you should be prepared, because we are, I mean, seeing certain things and we are going after them. So most of the time, by the time these releases come out, we are on the persons or the companies that are doing that and the necessary actions. We put this information out because it is the right of the consumer to know. You know, take for example, Doc, it's good that you are here, a diabetic. Yes. You know, and you tell somebody that the person should keep off, I mean, should control the carbohydrate, the sugar, exactly. And so in this particular case, they were not indicating that there was starch in the product, and then also the erythrocin, you know, because allergen problems can also, you know, come up. So these are food safety issues, and we are after them and dealing with it.
What sort of product is that starch coming from? The starch that's used to stuff those pastes, where is it coming from? Is it from the cassava? What What form of starch is that? Where is it coming from? Rice?
Well, the tests that we did, I mean, there are various tests that you can do. What we did was, I mean, we did qualitative tests, which is, it's not supposed to be there. So it talks about presence or absence.
Okay.
We are also working now to estimate the quantities that are in the product.
The quantity of starch that's
the
in
quantity,
the
as well as also but we couldn't wait at all to do all of these things before we let the public know, because we can see straight away the risk it will be posing to diabetics.
Okay.
So straight away we just have to let them know. And we are taking this opportunity, as we have been doing all week, that Ghanaians, when you come across these products, and I'll be grateful if you could give me the opportunity to mention these products.
Don't worry at all.
All
There's
right,
a story
Okay.
that we're going to play. We have hit the market. My producers went to the market to find out if these pastes are in the market, and they've spoken to some traders. However, some of them chastised you, and it will be important you listen to it, because not a lot of them have this information. In the market and down there, some people are not aware. And you hear all that in that story. I'll play that, but I just want you to give us a background. Look, now the paste, I'm interested in the source of the starch, and I'm hoping that we will get it by now, because that's also important. If it's just, should we know that this is coming from maize? Maybe it's maize that's been blended, or yam that's blended, or cassava, and they've stuffed them. That's also key. You don't think so? We should know the source of the starch.
Well, starch is starch.
Okay.
We could go down to detect the source as it is. But at the moment, our concern is for the diabetic because of the blood sugar issue. I mean, in the lab, we can do so many things. We've got the persons who can do all that. But as to whether it will help the situation at the moment, you know, it's another critical thing. But what you should understand about food fraud is that, you know, starch really is a product that, let me say, it's cheap, as it is. So the person just trying to use it to bulk the product to make up for whatever they have scooped away, you know, that's where the margin for the fraud, you know, lies.
No, have they scooped it away, or they have prepared the entire paste with it? Because these are covered, they are sealed tins. So it's
I'm using the word scooped probably for the everyday Joe to understand. I mean, because it's like, say, if I have a container, I'm supposed to fill it with the paste.
Yeah.
Now,
take out?
Yeah, but just imagine I fill it, so I scoop half off, and then I add the starch. You know, so then at least I think the everyday man in the street then understands that, hey, I wanted tomatoes, but you have decreased the amount of tomatoes, and you've rather replace
with 80% of
then some cheap stuff. And because I'll catch up on you, then you just, you know, try and put in the color.
Now you said there are about 70 products of the same paste. Is it tomato paste?
No, of various brands, and that is why we want the Ghanaian to know that the food safety issue we talk about is actually universal. We are not sparing anybody. It's our job to make sure we go and we sample everything.
Yeah.
So we've been doing, I mean, over and over. Here is Jake. I mean, we pick products, we test. If there's no issue, we are happy. That's how it's supposed to be. But when you get incidents of such happening, then that is just a cause for worry, and then we go after those who are doing that.
But the 70 products are all tomato paste that you're looking at?
Yes, they are the tomato paste. There's what we call mix. The mix actually by law is defined and can contain starch, and it does indicate that it contains starch.
Okay.
You know, that is an innovative product. That's not what we are talking about.
Yeah.
In this particular case, what we are talking about is the issue of adulteration and not indicating to the
consumer that this is the content.
Because it's the right of the consumer label to know what he or she is taking.
Yeah.
So if you don't tell me, then you give me this, and then the third thing is that the law, the standard on tomato paste forbids erythrocin. That color, it forbids it. Then it says also forbids what you call starch. If you look through the various standards we've had over time, you know, from 2003 all the way to now, they've gone through reviews and the rest, but it has always excluded starch because of, you know, we know the game, we know it's food chemistry, we know what people can do with it, And that is why we are very, alert on such issues.
Are you looking at other food items beyond tomatoes, the oil, the rice, and all the others? Are you looking at some pepper, for instance, powdered pepper? Now, people have raised a lot of issues about powdered pepper. Are you looking at the other food items as well?
Yeah, various issues comes up. When we talk about the market surveillance, there's a section that is called the product quality monitoring. What we do is that we just randomly pick, we home in. So if, for example, if we are talking about, let's say, drinks, we can decide that, okay, we want to go after the types of preservatives that are using. We look at issues that can raise food safety concerns. So we want to look at preservatives, see whether the right levels are being used, because there may be toxicity issues that come in. Some of them are what we call good manufacturing practices. So it depends on what you are looking at. Issues of adulteration, you look at it. It cuts across. It depends on the product.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a lot that we will come to you on, and also go to Jake about, and then come to Doctor about. For instance, with Doctor, would want to know Ritricin, for instance, the health effect. Then does it have any negative effect if we find them in tomatoes and all of that? The drinks one, Roderick, whether aside preservatives, the color. Some say that most of the fruit juice we have on the market are not even exactly the products. They tell you that it's orange, so and so, and it's not exactly what it is, whether we are measuring them right. But on your tomatoes, we hit the market, as I said earlier, and then a few commentaries came from the traders and the consumers as well. Let's go listen, and then we'll be back.
Food and Drugs Authority has directed the withdrawal of all badges of certain brands of tomato paste from the market, which were found to contain the ingredients, starch and color that were not indicated on the labels. According to the FDA, these ingredients are not permitted in tomato paste, and the products therefore violates the Ghana standards for tomato paste. The following 16 tomato paste products were listed as unwholesome by the Food and Drugs Authority: Alisa tomato paste, Aisha tomato paste, Snow Red tomato paste, Shalom tomato paste, Mama and Papa tomato paste, Juliet tomato paste, Star Time tomato paste, Daily Double concentrated tomato paste, Prestige tomato paste, Royal Lion double concentrated tomato paste, Riches tomato paste, Green Garden tomato paste, Rococo tomato paste, Nano tomato paste, Tasty Family tomato paste, and Mabravo tomato paste. I import in an effort to assess the impact of the ban in the food market, engaged some consumers and traders at the Community 1 market in TEMA. While some traders admitted to have heard about the ban on the 16 brands of tomato paste, others claimed to be totally ignorant of it.
I know about it. It was all on the social media platform. Okay, so I am schooling, so on my page they posted it there that these are some of the products, SKUs that has been listed, that they should make sure they clear it from the the system.
Indeed, our checks from the market did not reveal the presence of any brands of the tomato paste that had been banned. Most of the traders revealed that the brands that had been banned are not popular among consumers, hence they do not stock them.
We sell mostly Salsa, Tasty, and Gino. And we sell these three brands because that is what people prefer against the other competition or the other brands.
When I will be the Abraham, I made only 1% I do an market. I know the ban, I'm so okay, me a business system. I did what system ni mono, and only a yet.
A wholesale distributor of tomato paste, however, disclosed that occasionally some of such unpopular brands of tomato paste make it onto the retail market due to their cheaper prices.
I think I've heard of the Snow Red before. Yes, I one time someone was like they were auctioning something from the HARBOUR, and so that is how come I met one gentleman who was like he would bring me the Snow White at a cheaper price because it was being auctioned.
She added that those unpopular brands are usually bought by food vendors who sell meals on the streets, hinting that such vendors are usually willing to compromise on quality for cheaper prices.
For those who sell the foods, that's those who cook the food, you can give them the slightly dented ones because they are going to
According to Comfort Addison, such vendors don't only prefer such unpopular brands of tomato paste, but they are also interested in those in deteriorating states as well.
They are the ones who are actually helping us currently because they are cooking and all that. Into say a dented cry, you give it to them, and sometimes they might consider, okay, let me just help you sell it off.
Some consumers also admitted to Iron Pot that they have not heard about the FDA announcement.
No, I don't know.
They urged the FDA to intensify their sensitization drive to ensure that every household is aware of the situation to prevent people from buying such unwholesome products.
See tomatoes ni nyama baba out. And provisions baba out. Tell some check in the year. There's someone no check and san about out ni atom nipa. Na for oba mi atom nipa ni die wie ni ayare wie san o matena se ahwehwe mu se tomatoes we say enye ni edidi daw. Ni edi wie didaw.
The education is not reaching all of us. So I think more education, and then they should advertise more.
The traders advise that if they are made aware of the situation, it will prevent them from making poor investments.
Sadeba for fresh out to boise. No one who said the adene ko and sana would do work room. No would the America say room may be sabi.
From all indications, the FDA may have announced the ban of some of these food products on the market, but the ordinary trader and the consumer may have not had these announcements. So the FDA will have to come to the grounds to make such information available to the traders as well as the consumers, or the Ghanaian will be the end victim of this.
Okay, so that was a report filed by my assistant producer, Lawrence Gazi there. Very disturbing commentaries coming from some of the traders. And maybe since you started the conversation, Roderick, I would love for you to touch on some of the issues that have been raised. Now, one, they said they haven't heard. It's not on the ground. This is a very big and popular market, community, one market in TEMA, and they haven't heard. That should be disturbing to you. The other thing is that they talked about dented tin tomatoes found on the market. They talked about some of these brands that you have mentioned and recalled being part of those that are being auctioned to the public and all of that. If you can wrap up on that one, and then we hit Doctor before we get to Jake.
Thank you very much. I mean, it's great going to get a feedback, and I think this is also a good feedback for the Food and Drugs Authority, especially our communication department. It will help us strategize better the work that we do. However, I really like the last comment, the lady who spoke last. She talked about being cautious and being a bit, slow. Just not just rushing into it because you've heard something has happened. Because it does really matter that we learn the trade and we learn it properly. Most of the time, a lot of canned products, people think, I mean, sort of they are immune. You can handle it roughly. But you see, this issue that she talked about, the dented, it's really a practice problem. And it is with the retail section. And that is why the chief executive, we are now homing in more to work with the district assemblies to look at issues of retailing practices. If you pick, for example, your canned product, by the end of the day, you dump it into the chop box that you store the products in. During the day, you bring it out. The next day, you throw it in there. The dents that do come up is indicative. You see, there's a certain covering within the product. We call it a lacquer. Now, if you keep throwing, or you see the bumps, or you don't handle them properly, they are lifting the whole carton, and then these guys who are lifting just drop it like that. What happens is that you break the lacquer within. Now the can that you see is actually could be made of tin. It's not supposed to have contact with the product. We call it a primary product. Primary because it is the first contact. Now if you break the lacquer and the product gets in contact with the tin, you're going to set off a reaction. And so it should be something that we should be careful with the products themselves, not because they are made of metal. And so you just use it anyhow. Now, if you misbehave with the product, you sell it in the sun. And that is why, in fact, before we even brought out the announcement on the tomato, we came up first with guidelines on shelf life. before you bring something into the country, there must be enough time left to be able to know, let's say 60% of its shelf life must be valid. The shelf life, talks about how the manufacturer has made the product and says store it under cool, dry conditions. But you are not storing it under what? Cool, dry conditions. So you are compromising the product. These are all issues that those in the market also need, to learn. Okay. That's why we say that food safety is everybody's business. We take in good faith the comments that have been raised, for Food and Drug Board also to improve, to be able to send the information down. Yes, we take it, but we also want the public to work with us in managing properly these products.
Okay. Doctor, yes, in hearing all these things, first build for us, what importance does food have on health? Now I learned something from you on our informal conversation earlier, that food is is more important than even drugs. Just highlight food that we are taking in day by day, the importance for us, and what you make of what is coming out these days.
Thank you very much, Sammy, and thanks to my colleague panelists here. It's quite worrying to hear all that is going on, but as you rightly said, food is what makes a human being, right? If you don't eat right, you will not live long. If you don't eat right, you will definitely not be healthy to enjoy your life. So obviously, food is more important than medicines, because it is a lot of diseases that we contract, especially the chronic illnesses, are what? Lifestyle diseases. And lifestyles definitely cannot go without touching food, our nutrition. So we look at it and you say that, look, good nutrition actually is an essential component of our daily lives. And for that matter, you see that you need to eat well or eat healthy to be able to stay healthy and be active in life. So if the food that we are consuming is not wholesome or is adulterated, then we will stand a lot of risks.
Yeah.
In this case, as you rightly said, this particular instance of the paste, if it is adulterated with something that shouldn't be in the food, retrosine, as the gentleman already mentioned, it's a pigment, it's a dye, all right, but if it's going to be dye, it's a pigment, I'll put it like that. Well, you can, another term for pigment can be a dye, it's a dye. And it can be used, but as I say, it must be labeled. People must know. Why? Because there could be some people who will be allergic to this dye, and it can cause trouble.
Okay.
In most instances, people, I mean, in this part of the world, people actually would have very dangerous or serious side effects, which even borders on, we call it anaphylaxis, and people actually die.
Wow.
But you realize that people, if you go and visit a friend or a family member and you eat food, probably there's something in the food that you're allergic to, and you get a very violent reaction, and then they tend to say that you are poisoned.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, probably it's not poison.
Yeah.
It is just simple allergy that you have had to maybe one of the ingredients of the food. And permit me to say that, you know, poor eating habits obviously leads a lot of problems. And it doesn't have any exception. If you don't eat well, you definitely have some consequences. What are some of the problems if you don't eat well or you don't eat healthy? Or what do we mean by unhealthy eating? Unhealthy eating simply, either you don't eat enough, or you overeat, or you don't eat the right food, okay? Or you consume higher quantities of the wrong things. For instance, fat, too much sugar, and all this. This is not healthy for you. So you end up having certain consequences. So if you go further and you want to analyze, okay, what does it matter what I eat? I just want to fill my stomach and go. But that's not what it is.
Okay.
You must eat the right food.
Okay.
Is that okay? So if you permit, I can also just touch on what then is poor nutrition. You're eating the wrong food. I repeat, eating the wrong food, wrong quantity of what you shouldn't be consuming, and then you would have that consequence, I mean, as an effect. For instance, this can lead, poor eating can lead to stress, it can lead to depression, it can lead to a lot of chronic illnesses, such as hypertension, okay? kidney problems, tooth decay. For instance, people who eat too much of sugary things, they tend to have problems with their enamel. The dentist will tell you, and that affects your teeth, and then eventually they can have cavities. Is that okay? People also would have heart diseases. We all know that most heart diseases are what? As a result of our lifestyle diseases. And nutrition is a lifestyle. There is nobody here who would say that I don't eat food. Yeah. You cannot do without food. Is that okay? Yeah. That's why initially I said that food is even more important than medicine, because when you eat the right food, you won't fall sick. Yeah. Or even if you fall sick, not these common chronic illnesses. You get, of course, there are certain sicknesses which are inevitable, but you should not let the food or your poor eating habits cause you disease. So many. We will go down, I'm sure, as we go along and mention more of the things that poor eating can cause.
Okay. And as you talk, and from where you sit, I'm wondering whether all these things that we are worried about, the tomatoes that are being stuffed, being repackaged with some starch and all of that, take drinks that are being colored and preservatives that are excessive and all of that. Look at the trend for us. Is the system getting worse in terms of health-wise? Is the system getting worse per these things, consuming some of these new products that are coming into the market? If you take juices, for instance, that people are drinking quite a lot, is it having some effect health-wise in the system?
Thank you, Sami. I think my colleague mentioned quite nicely that they are doing a good job and a great job. Unfortunately, there may be products which will come through. We all know that the borders are not sacrosanct, they are not secured, and so people bring all sorts of products onto the market, all what? As what? Basis of economic, trying to make a living, isn't it? And so when it passes through that and they are not aware, by the time they catch up with those people, like I think the video showed, some people would have consumed some. But obviously, people do these things for reasons. It's just the same way as do counterfeit medicines. Yeah? Counterfeit medicines. The same way we can say, if you permit to say that maybe counterfeit food, if there will be something like that, but it's adulterated food, isn't it? So these things are things that we have to deal with. And it's not only in Ghana, obviously it's all over the world. So food safety is a very, very big issue, and it's a big deal because the consequences of food safety, they are extreme and they can be very dangerous. And a country like ours where we are battling with a double burden of disease, which is going to do, if you say double burden of disease, you mean the communicable diseases, and now you have a lot of non-communicable diseases which are equally competing with the communicable diseases. It will be worse if we allow food safety to become an issue. That, again, the common thing that everybody has to live on food, of course, healthy eating, and then this will be bringing us health problems. That means that we are going to add to these non-communicable diseases.
Don't you think we're already there?
We are there.
At the point where people are already now worried about every item that they are going to buy.
That is true.
16 tomato paste are being recalled from the market, and you don't even know who is selling them. Right. Isn't that worrying?
It is very worrying already. But it is very important that we as consumers should also up our game. We should be able to read the labels on every food item or on every drink that we try to consume. You have to look at the label and see what are the ingredients, what are the active ingredients, what are the additives in these drinks or the foods that you eat. Because at the end of the day, you are the consumer and your health is your personal responsibility. So you don't go out to the market and buy food that you go and eat or consume and then it will give you health problems. And then you spend more money trying to treat yourself. So it's also, much as the FDA is doing its work, I think that we as a citizenry of this country or citizens of Ghana, we must make it an effort, please, to read every label, especially the drinks. And you know what? I think that this, even though it's something they do continuously, but they say, people who trade, people who do all these things, they cash in on the what? The period. Then they know that we're in the festive season, so they can bring in all sorts of things. A lot of consumption will take place, especially of these sugary drinks. Our children, they are drinking all the Fantas, even drinks that you don't even know whether it's Fanta or it is Coke, because all sort of colors. Is that all right? But as long as it's sweet. They also know that Africans, as we are, we love sweet things. And so if you look at it, even Coke here, the amount of sugar in our Coke that we consume here is different from what is in the United Kingdom or in America or elsewhere. Okay?
Except recently we heard about the Coke Zero that's coming
Exactly.
around.
You know, so all these things are, people, they want to make business, they want to cash in, they want to get money. So it is for us. It's just like you go to the pharmacy shop, you want to buy medicine. Yes, it might be difficult for you to detect whether it is a counterfeit medicine or not. But at the end of the day, you can ask questions. Where is this made in? You look at the label, the pack, and see where is it made in? What are the active ingredients? And then I think there are a lot of apps that can help you to detect what counterfeit medicines are. So the same way, I'm sure the FDA people will tell us how we'll be able to identify fake or adulterated food.
In fact, you've hit the one last week. We nearly mentioned it, but we skipped it, and with the hope that today we're going to talk about it. Medicines, adulterated one, the counterfeit ones, if you put it that way, that are in the market. I hear from a lot of pharmacists that that's also becoming worrying. Being a health professional, from where you said, is it becoming worrying that we're having some of these drugs that are counterfeit in the system?
It is. It's a big problem and it's worrying. It has attained maybe public health proportions. And if you say public health proportions, it means that you're looking at affecting the whole society.
Interesting.
Okay? It's because...
Fake drugs?
Yes. Fake drugs are actually, they are more, I would say, lucrative to deal with than even hard drugs. In terms of hard drugs, I mean cocaine and the heroines and all that. Fake medicines, they are a source of big or huge international concern, okay? And by saying this of international concern, you realize that people find it easier to make fake or counterfeit medicines and put it out on the market and get their cash, okay? Because it attracts less penalty than hard drugs like cocaine and heroin. Is that okay? Yeah. So there are a lot of people who are into that side. So and it's another way, I know that it's a very big factor because it's another way of money laundering across the world.
Interesting.
Oh, yes. And if you remember, not too long ago, I think sometime last year or 2 years ago, there's a whole UN group. And I think the people were they came from France, and they came to meet the port community. I happened to be one of the members of the meeting, that port community, GRA, and other, I think even FDA was on. Yes, because that's where the world is going. People are looking at how best or how quick they can penetrate your market with fake medicines.
Wow.
And that's, again, if you combine fake medicine with adulterated food, then you know where we are going. The consequences are that. And of course, I mean, then it means that we're in trouble. You don't know what to do. If you are sick, you have a headache, you go and take paracetamol. You don't know whether it's the right paracetamol you're taking or not. And all these things, ultimately, they damage our system, our organs, and people. No wonder in this part of the world, kidney failure is so common. Rampant. It's so rampant now, you don't know what. What are the causes? You go into it and you realize that people are taking what they shouldn't be taking. Is that okay? Because the system...
Lots of painkillers.
A lot of painkillers, which are not even the right painkillers. Is that okay? So a lot of regulation is key, and FDA is doing their best. Standards authorities also doing their own. But again, I come back to the customers, the consumers. We must make it our personal responsibility to look out for these things.
Thank you, Doc. But Jake, that last note, Doc, and then quite often I haven't bought into that narrative where there's a lot of responsibility being pushed onto the consumer as against the state also protecting their citizenry. Yes, the people you would advise that have an app that you can check drugs that is coming in, be able to read labels. But we also have a large proportion of our people that we know can't read and write. We have a large proportion of our people who cannot have access to internet, who can download apps and even interpret the applications. That is why there is a state agency that is supposed to protect the people on behalf of those who can't do it themselves. So how did we get here? How did we get to the point where, like Doctor is saying, we've hit a public health proportion where fake drugs have infiltrated our market, where FDA is admitting that 16 brands of tomato paste are in the market, worrying as it is?
Yes.
Where's the state agency that's supposed to keep the gate?
Yes, I mean, yes, like you rightly said, it's really worrying. FDA currently, as we speak, we are at the ports, and our function at the port is to ensure that regulated products that come in, we should see them and then take the necessary action that must be taken. Over the years, in fact, the 16 tomato paste that we are talking about now, these are products that really FDA picked on the market, okay, where they came into, we cannot ascertain.
It didn't come through the port?
Because these products, well, we have not seen them at the ports.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
None of those brands?
No.
I see.
And like we always discuss, I mean, our borders are porous. Okay, there are various routes through which products come in.
Which borders are you talking about? Which borders?
Last week, you remember, we talked about, we have the Elubo, we have the...
Okay, those ones.
So, I mean, and you may have some products filtering through. But on the whole, we are at the port. If the product is not registered, like Roderick rightly said, every product that comes into the country must first be registered by the Food and Drugs Authority. So if it's not registered, Food and Drugs Authority, we take serious measures. And with drugs, it's even more stringent. Yes. At the port, it's even more stringent. In fact, very soon, there's going to be every product, not only drugs, that is coming into Ghana, before it sets seal, the permit must be given and must be approved before you set seal. So if it comes through the right channel, the right routes, then there's no way FDA will not know. So once you make application for the permits and it's not registered, FDA would not allow that product to come into the country because we know it's not registered. Again, if it's a food product, depending on the risk, if you send your permits early enough, you could initiate the registration process whilst the product is on sale. So by the time it gets here, the registration, all the necessary tests that must be done to confirm its safety has been done, then would release it for you. But once the product is not registered and it gets here, we will destroy it. We are not going to allow it to be cleared. That is the directive now.
That's a new directive?
Yes.
It wasn't like that before?
Yes. So, before we roll out such a thing, you have to engage your stakeholders. You have to let them know that this is the way we are going. Okay, so then nobody says that I wasn't aware. Of course, we are here to protect the public. Okay, so once you bring in a product that is not registered, what we do is you either re-export or we confiscate and we destroy them.
Okay, Roderick, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, okay. I think Doc said a lot, and I say, Ghanaians, let's not throw up our hands in the air. We can let you understand that FDA is one of the strongest, regulatory bodies on the African continent.
Ghana FDA.
Yes, Ghana FDA. And we do have even other countries sending their officers here for training and for attachment. Our lab, for example, we have in terms of Africa, the largest scope of tests that is done. It's Ghana FDA lab. So there's a lot of good work that is going on. I'm sure you've heard of this Bible saying, the truth shall set you free. We believe in being transparent, and that is why we are letting the public know that out there are a lot of bad people. The issue of tramadol, that even came up, Now, there are various strengths. You can ask Doc that there are various strengths of tramadol that are permissible. But some of the strengths that we are seeing are something, I think it was about 200 milligrams. More than, way over. Exactly. Yes. I don't know if you've watched this film before, Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
You see, you should look at crime.
Yeah.
And that is why the Public Health Act, that's the Food and Drugs Law, the Public Health Act, we've made changes and such that we can even get you in prison, is it about 15 years? Yeah, because we take it that when somebody is sick, the person already is weak. Yes. And the person has to take medicine that is not of the right substance. So if you have people, qualified persons, And that's what I was talking about, the tramadol, the strength that is being done. This is not being done by a wayside person. These are being done by professional chemists. You know, he was talking about the issue of, you know, sometimes the use of these medicines may be even more lucrative than hard drugs. So you are looking at trade issues. You are looking at real crime.
Yeah.
And that is why FDA, even now, as part of our effort, we do have action, let me say, action centers or committees that is made up of the judiciary. We've spent time to educate the judiciary for them to understand what we do. And they are really assisting us, the Ghana police, the CID. There's a lot of collaboration that is going on, and we do a lot of raids behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I think that this is where we should look at things, that we are being transparent. We are saying that the public should join us. It's not only food safety issues, which is the concern of everybody. When you talk about medicines, it also involves everybody.
Yeah.
And that's why we are saying that when you go buy medicines, go to a pharmacy where you can get you can get the right medicine, get the right person who would advise you, the pharmacist over there. But if you go on the bus where they are selling anything, that herbal concoction which is able to cure everything, if that's what you want to go after, but you will get the consequence, you know, thereof.
Yeah, but Roderick, yes, we are being told that even beyond the herbal medicine, some of the foreign drugs are also having these issues. And the foreign drugs, I have to be honest with you, because I got it from a pharmacist, that it's not just being sold by some Chochopon people. They find themselves in the pharmacy shops.
Look, we can tell you for a fact, we have what we call mini labs. And we do pick medicines, and we do check their efficacy, and see whether they are. And we've got we've got data. If you take, for example, for anti-malarial, if you come and we show you the figures at this, I mean the results are quite good. The results are quite good, and we are emphatic, and we have the data to show. Sometimes people may speculate and may say certain things. You know, we say risk communication. They may say something that does not reflect the truth. You know, and FDA has a lot of good data now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we say that others come from the sub-region and come and learn from us. Yeah.
The other aspect is the banned items that you have announced out there. And we'll come to dealing with keeping the gates and the sort of things we'll do, because like Doc hinted, this has become a very huge source of making some money out of the international trade. And we have to look at that side. But the banned products that you have announced, have you retrieved some of them?
Yes, and there are quantities that are coming in.
How many so far?
No, we are talking about various brands.
Yeah.
They are in warehouses, you know, and they are exercises. People, when you do a recall, you know, we have to first check how much went out, how much have you been able to, you know, bring out. I can tell you right now, for the quantities that we picked, and we have released the 16. We have also come across other
brands.
Other brands
that are not part of the 16.
That are not part of the 16.
Interesting.
And the chief executive would bring it out
again.
Yes.
How many are those though?
I know you are trying to probe. It
will get there. Yes. Okay. So in your course of checking the numbers and doing the comparative analysis of the numbers that came in and the numbers that you've gotten back, you've realized that there are even other more brands out there that you are going to release. But can you help us with the numbers of the brand, the ones you earlier announced and the ones you've been able to retrieve so far?
Take it this way. There's going to be a big revolution in the area of the tomato paste. And those who are the perpetrators there are not going to have it easy at all.
Okay.
It's far-reaching, the issues. And the minister is very, very, very important. But I'm very, very serious about it. The chief executive is very, very serious about it. That's why she's putting it out there.
Okay.
And if I would just let you know how probably alarming that it is, for the quantity that we've picked, we are quite alarmed, and it's about 70% adulteration.
How many, and then 70% adult? That's why I keep getting back to the number. If you are not sure, we can make it available sometime later on. But if you are sure and you can help us with it, I want to be able to understand that there are, let's say, so and so tons of tomato paste in the market that are under these 16 brands, and you have 70% of starch content in them.
No, what we are saying is that for the various brands that we have picked up, you know, you have
16 brands.
Yeah, the 660. No, it's beyond. I told
it's
you.
Beyond.
I told
okay.
you that we've done about 70, and the analysis that is going on. You know, when you do the analysis, at a certain point, you realize that no, what the data is bringing out, I mean, it's quite alarming, and therefore you need to alert the public as the results do come out. You know, and so I mean, what we are seeing is that we need to warn the public.
Okay.
And so in due course, you would see the 70% here figure we are talking about is, if you take the total that we picked as 100, so far for the quantities that are showing, it's almost 7 out of 10 are showing this, and we are really worried about it. And that's why I'm saying that there's a revolution that is coming on the issue of the tomato paste. And it is the market surveillance, the system we have in place, that has picked it up, and we are dealing with it.
It's a good thing, and I'm sure that people would be glad that you are able to do this. But I also want to know how are you doing the recall? Who is collaborating with you? Who is bringing the items back? Is it the traders or the wholesalers? Where are you getting the recall?
Okay, thank you. It's those involved in the trade. As you put the names out there, those who are recognizing them are the ones that are bringing them back either to the points where they bought, and they also then take it back to the depot where they bought, the wholesalers. So then it comes back to the storage facilities, and then FDA will lay hands on them. We don't like individually go to pick them from the market. We do
people volunteer and bring them to you.
Yes, people
basically.
volunteer. Yes, okay. and bring them to us. If we also see it
anywhere
on the shelves, we also take them off.
That would then mean that your information or announcement to the market, the ordinary trader and all of that, should be very, very intense, because they are the ones who respond and say that I have seen that there, I've seen that there.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
Yeah, and that is why we have, you know, as part of our system, we have a food safety management department. The lady was saying that, I mean, they don't have the information.
Yeah.
But there's evidence, you know, that we have this team that goes around the various markets. We educate them. It's not only on issues of food adulteration, but I mean, food handling, the handling practices I was talking about, the issue of the dented. Of course, I mean, the public is the public.
Yeah.
It's like as we are talking
it's not
now.
extensive enough.
Well, you could have a point there.
Yeah.
It's like, but as we are having this program, somebody
may not watch it.
Somebody would watch it.
Yes.
So those chances are there.
Get a lot more national service people. Push them in the system and let them help you.
No, they are really helping.
Employ more players.
We are hoping that Metro will also be inviting us more.
Then do the education. I think it's important.
Yes.
And the other thing I want to know is that, look at the danger here. I'm not sure that you know the number or the quantity that is outside. Do you?
The quantity that's okay. I mean,
that's in the market.
Oh no, that's why we talk about the success of a recall. Normally, it comes from, if you do have, let's say, the import quantities that comes in, and what you're able to bring back, then the difference you work out as your rate of success.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the success rate so far? How are you seeing it since you did the announcement?
Now, it's a process that is ongoing. So, in mainstream, you can't just say this. You need to be able to get it together and say that, okay, now this is what it is. Really, what is coming in, then may be trickling. So, but we've not gotten to that stage yet. At the moment, I can tell you, we have laid, for example, hands on, let's say, a particular brand. I will not mention it, but we've been able to lay hands on about 3 20-footer containers that is impounded in the Ashanti region, and in other parts. So it's in various warehouses that some of these things are going on. We have to put everything together, but it's an ongoing exercise.
And those that you have impounded, what are you doing to the people who are dealing in them?
Oh, there are various sanctions that are being rolled.
Are they in jail?
There are. It depends on what was found. Remember, we're talking about erythrocin. We are talking about starch. So definitely, you have to weigh how things are done. We are talking about issues of registration, issues of non-registration. So the chief executive has a whole, let me say, the whole
list of items that
she has
she's looking at.
But definitely, she's not allowing any to go just like that.
Okay, but Jake mentioned though that these things did not come from the port, and you don't know how they got into the market. So if you don't know how they got into the market, how do you know the quantity that's in the market?
Oh, what the first list that we released, is talking about not knowing.
Yes.
I can tell you others that are coming, we do know.
You know the source?
Yes.
That they came through where?
Yes, we know where they came from. Now remember beginning I started talking to you about the process of registration. You are not allowed, according to Section 97 of the law, to bring in products that are not registered.
Yeah.
So if you bring it, you have to go through a process we call registration.
Yeah.
You bring samples, you fill the application forms, it goes through the lab. You say, okay, this is the product, this is how you brought it. Fine. You can now bring it in. We do what we call site verification. We send officers to go to the sites where they are manufactured and go and inspect and be very sure that this is what they are doing the right thing. Now, when then your registration is good for 3 years. So now you can bring them in. When you bring them in, Jake and his team, Solo at the port, will take a look at it. Was it as was registered? But that is what we call physical inspection. Because that's in best practices in the whole world, that is what is done.
Yeah.
You don't go and do end product testing. End product testing, we no longer do it in the world. So you bring it in, we look at it, is the label right? Is it in good, it's not bloating, it's okay, fine. You can release to the person because you do know the brand and you know the importer. And so it goes out there. Then we later on can pick samples and then we check. Our checks so far in the past has not shown anything like this. But all of a sudden, it's now become like a practice where it is now showing up. And that's what we're talking about, the 70% as so far. That's around the figure that we have noticed. So it is a bad, or let me say, people trying to cut corners. And that is why we are holding them responsible as it is.
Okay. Yeah. Jake, is it the case that people are now beginning to see that there's loophole, the system is a bit loose, and so they can do whatever they want? You heard the lady saying that the only time she heard about one of the products is when it was being auctioned. How worrying is that?
Okay, so Sami, before I come to that, let me just make mention of the fact that what we are talking about is economically motivated. So the kind of adulteration we're talking about is economically motivated adulteration. And the strength of regulation actually is our market surveillance, and that is what FDA we are doing. Okay, so we may even have registered products, okay, but the fact that the product is registered by FDA does not mean we go to sleep. After the registration, we move around the markets, pick up samples, take them to the laboratory to test them, to ascertain the state of the product. Is it still in the state that we registered it? Are the parameters that we tested for at the time of registration, are they still intact? Are they still the same? Okay, if there are deviations, then we'll have to call the importer to book. So these are things that, like Roderick rightly said, they are practices that are statutory for FDA. Okay. Continuously, we'll be doing this, and we are not going to relent on this particular action of ours. But containers that are slated for auction, in fact, we don't get to see everything, but on a number of occasions, we have had a very good collaboration with the customs. They have invited us on some occasions that we have inspected containers that are slated for auction, and once they are not registered, if the product is not registered, we still detain the products, and then once the product is safe, okay, we direct them to the appropriate department at the head office for them to take over. The head office knows how best to monitor that product that has been auctioned to the person, and whatever test and that must be conducted on the product before it is given market authorization. Those tests will be done, and if it will have to be registered, it will be registered before it is given market authorization. So for containers that are slated for auction, once we are invited, we pick samples, we are there to test, and then before we give market authorization, we make sure that it is safe and it is registered before we give that authorization.
Do you have to be invited by customs before you can be there? Is it not mandatory that you certify these foods before they are auctioned to the public?
Okay, so it is mandatory that we certify the products before it is auctioned. But as to whether it is statutory for customs to invite us, that is something that we can talk of.
But if it's mandatory for you to be there or statutory for you to be there, then it should be, the honor should be on some institution of a sort to invite you.
Yeah, that is why I'm saying that over the years we have enjoyed the collaboration, but of course there have been occasions that, again, you have one or two cases that were not invited, and we have
just one or two.
Oh, I can't give the figures here,
no, but I'm sure that you've had quite a number of times
exactly
that you haven't been aware of the product that's going for auctioning.
That's right, a number of times. Okay, and we've always drawn customs attention to this, that it is important that we get to be part of this inspection and then pick samples, do the necessary laboratory tests to ascertain its safety before it is auctioned to whoever is to be auctioned to. But let me say this, for drugs, pharmaceutical products, okay, it is prohibited. Those ones are never to be auctioned. We don't allow drugs to be auctioned. That is also a statutory requirement by the Food and Drugs Authority. And a letter has been written by our chief executive, and it's been given to the Commissioner of Customs, and all the sector commanders are aware that drugs are not to be auctioned.
Okay, so pharmaceutical products are not to be auctioned.
That's
now,
right.
I will come back to those tinned tomatoes and those ones as well. But looking at what is happening now and the influx of these products that we are beginning to get worried about, don't you think it's about time your outfit makes customer aware that for every single one of those products before auctioned, you have to have certified it?
Yes.
Haven't we got into that stage where it's become some sort of state of emergency for you?
Yes, I mean that stage, we got to that stage a long time ago, and I must say we have always been knocking on the doors of customs.
And what's their response?
The response has been positive on some occasions.
So to some extent?
Yes, to some extent. Okay.
So is it customs that's compromising our health?
Well, I wouldn't want to play any blame game now. Okay, but what I'm saying is that there has been occasions that we've not been part of the process, and we are still talking. Okay, we are all at the port. Okay, so we talk to them. Once we get to know that this has been auctioned without FDA, we get to the appropriate quarters, and then we make our grievances known.
Okay. Before Roderick, you come in, but I thought that the auctioning is published before it's done. So you see it in the papers, in the dailies, the notices are all over in the port. Sometimes we announce them here and everywhere before it comes out. So when you see that and you haven't certified those products, what action do you take from your outfit?
Yeah. Yes, the announcement may be out there, but there's been instances that it's been announced that it will be auctioned this day, and then it doesn't happen on the set date. But like I said, we've enjoyed a lot of collaboration. Customs has been writing to FDA. I mean, on a number of occasions, products that are slated for auction, that FDA, on this day, this product is slated for auction, we need you to be there with our officer to conduct inspection on the product to ascertain its safety before it is auctioned. So there's been some collaboration, but what we're saying is that it could be improved. Okay, the collaboration between the two institutions could be improved.
Okay, Roderick.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Maybe at this moment, I'm higher in rank than him, so there may be some information that
you are privy to, and he's not.
that he's not, because the chief executive has set up an action group. It's a committee made up of the judiciary, the police, attorney general, and very sensitive institutions, and we are working is drugs, counterfeiting of drugs. Is the focus that they have now on mind, and the whole idea is to improve collaboration. Some of the issues that he has talked about in the past has happened, And I mean, customs is, well, I wish there was a customs officer here.
Yeah.
Because probably it's not fair to them to speak when not here. Yeah. There have been times that containers have been auctioned where, because they are interested in, you know, making
the revenue for
Ghana, because they also have targets. But unfortunately, some of them may have had food items and sometimes medicines.
That have ended up in the market.
That have ended up, and hence what the chief executive been writing to them. So some of those mistakes have come, and it's not a perfect system. Sometimes the system, there have been turf wars. You know, people demonstrate, but I think after a long while, people have come to realize that collaboration is the way forward. The FDA is collaborating with the local government. This Christmas we were with them in the, you know, the market. There's something, if you go through our law, it says that we'll monitor through the district assemblies.
Yeah.
So the initiatives that have been set up
from that side,
that we are followed up. And so what he's talking about are also areas, gray areas that are being pushed, and we see good signs, and we believe that some of these things will be a thing of the past.
Yeah, I am worried about the urgency for this, because it's clear from what you're saying, quite a number, a very substantial number of tomato paste in the market. I'm sure it goes even beyond tomato paste. There are fruit juices and there are things. And these are coming out of a particular place that we can curtail. So if the collaboration is what will solve this problem, that collaboration ought to be tightened immediately. You don't agree?
You are right. Yes. I mean, it has to be tightened. You see, and Ghanaians again. I mean, somebody says here, pass him, excuse Rasem. You see, the issue is this: people are bringing in these courier services. Okay, you go to TEMA, courier services. So your brother is in US and sends you some, you know, products. You know, a little of this, a little of that. Maybe some 20 cartons of maybe. You know, canned tomato. All right, you said it's for home use. All right, home use. Why is it on the market? Yeah. So it is released to you on that
basis. That it's for home consumption.
Home consumption. Then now it finds its way on the market. So there is a lot of, I mean, abuse that is going. These are all contributing to some of these things that we are seeing.
But should those items even be allowed to be classified as for that house to house, the tin tomatoes? If I see a certain quantity of tin tomatoes, should I allow you to take it home to go and consume as house to house?
Okay, so I mean,
50 cartons and coming in.
Like the customs officers will tell you, I mean, personal effects and those house to house practices, they've been there for so long a time, and they are internationally accepted kind of protocols that we cannot circumvent.
Well, we can regulate.
Yes, that is the issue. We can regulate. So that is why we are at the ports. And once FDA, we are so, in fact, we've had occasions where we've detained, we've seized, confiscated personal items that are said to be personal effects, and we clearly know that these are personal effects, but we still seize them because it's personal effect, but it's expired. It's personal effect, but it's deteriorated, so we wouldn't allow you to take it away. Okay, so it's the quantity, the volumes, that is what determines. Once we see the volumes, we say we are able to tell that definitely some of it would end up on the shelf. So then we'll detain it and then take it to a lab, make sure you initiate registration, get it registered before we allow you to put it on the market. But quickly, let me touch on this, and on the 16 tomato paste that we have called for the recall. The moment the chief executive put out this letter, she directed that quickly at the ports, we are the first point of call, so we needed to put in some measures to make sure that every tomato paste that is coming into the country, we get our hands on, do the necessary quality and safety checks before. So because of this, we made an application. We are part of the port community, so we made an application to the National Risk Management Team for them to make all tomato paste coming into the country, let them go into what we call the risk channel red, which means that once they are in the risk channel red, we must of a necessity inspect them, whether they are registered or they are not registered. We must inspect them and do the necessary quality and safety checks before we release them onto the market. I mean, hitherto, if it's registered, I mean, it could be in the green channel, in which case we may not have to inspect it
physically.
But because of the current safety issue that we have observed, everything should go into a red channel. So that is a practical step that we have taken to make sure that we nip the practice in the bud.
Okay. The other thing I want to find out from you, and Roderick had mentioned earlier, for some of these canned foods, do you think we need to auction them? Because before the product goes into auction, it would have spent 60 days without it being cleared from the port. And then grace periods are given, 14 days, 21 days. So put everything together, by the time it's gazetted, by the time it goes for public auction and all of that, we are looking sometimes around 1 year, 12 months for tin tomatoes to be in a container for 12 months in the sun. And he mentioned earlier that some of these foods don't even have to be in the sun, be sold in the sun, let alone be in a container for all this period. Do you think we should be auctioning foods like that? The person didn't come for it, it's overstayed in the port. Don't we just dispose of it?
Yeah, Sammy, again, we will have to look at it in a global arena, global context, okay? So then, auctioning is a custom practice, okay? But the most important thing is that the necessary measures that must be taken before the product is auctioned are taken to make sure that public health and safety is not jeopardized. Okay, so then I have had, I'm at the port, so I've inspected tomato paste that were earmarked for auction. And by the time we opened the container, everything in there, I mean, you have some of them were leaking, some have exploded and all that. Yeah. I mean, clearly, we just have to send it to the dumping site and then destroy them. But that is why if FDA is made aware, we would inspect it, make sure the shelf life is within a period within which the product, if it will have to be sold, it could be sold. And then we monitor the sale of such product. But for us to say we will not allow food product to be auctioned completely, that may not be the way to go. But then we are there to make sure that we are there to make sure that the product is safe. Yeah, government wants the revenue.
Because I think that we have a rough idea.
Yes.
How long it will take for a product to be auctioned. We know that it's nothing less than 60 days. And we can all calculate and ask ourselves that, is it safe for tin milk, for instance, to be in a container for that long period and still be wholesome at any point in time? Those ones, can't we take decision on them? And then, Roderick, you pick that one quickly. Let me go on the phone lines.
Yes.
Let me just announce the phone lines, then you respond to that while we wait. So the phone lines are 020-552-8353, 020-552-8353. The WhatsApp number is 055-901-9177, 055-901-9177. You can join the conversation. Roderick.
Yes, thank you very much. In fact, I mean, to support what Jake was saying, to manage these things better, that's why the chief executive just last week came up with the guidelines on shelf life. You know, so if a product is going to sit at the port for all of this while and duty is not paid, we look at it that it has not entered the country. Now, we have given customs a copy of these guidelines, and it's going to apply. Okay. And you know, we work with customs. I mean, they are our sister. We work well together. Sometimes, yeah, there are some gray areas, but straight away, this is a tool that the FDA has come out to try and ensure that some of these things, excesses, are stopped. Because you are right, you can't put certain products in the sun. They will just stay there, and then you want to auction. And like he said, if you open some of them, they're already exploding. Yeah. You know, so such products you will not
straight away.
And then the law, I mean, what the guideline is saying that when it enters the country, at least 60% of the shelf life must be valid. So if it has stayed so long, and then you know that does not happen. Look, I can tell you, for example, I mean, is it this week or so? Somebody brought in some products. And said that when it got to the port, when we went, you did a detention, then you sent it to the market surveillance. And when we looked at it, 297 of the barrels of tomato paste that they had brought in had expired. Wow. And they said it was a mistake. I mean, go and tell that story to a child. The chief executive just gave the order and safe disposal. I mean, straight away.
Sometimes they feel you can compromise some officers to get their way with it.
It will not fly with us. So we are very resolute, and that's why this tool for what do you call it, the managing of that's the guidelines for shelf life has now come out, and what you call retailers, importers, freight forwarders, customs as our what do you call it, our sister in regulation, are all to help us make sure that it controls things better. So that is where we are going.
A number of messages for you. But doctor, yes, in these situations and this particular time, right, as you mentioned earlier, when you get into a season like that, a lot of consumption of these products in the market. Correct. People are going to buy more tomato paste. People are going to buy more rice, more fruit juice for children to drink and all of that. What should we be looking out for? And in case we end up taking some of this product in without knowing, instead of blaming that we've been poisoned by our neighbors, what do we do?
So I mean, that's a good one, yes. Yes, thank you very much. Obviously, again, parents should lead this campaign. Parents, why? Because children, they are at the mercy of the system. It's whatever the parents procure, whatever they buy and bring to the home, that's what the children consume. So we as parents, and we are all parents, and so we as parents must be role models and try to do the right thing. Okay. First of all, live exemplary lives, healthy lifestyles for our children to see. So that if they see my father and my mother are eating right, then they will also tend to follow the same way. Is that all right? If they see my father or my mother reading the label of maybe some drink, a product before consuming it, the child will learn from the home. And if you look at it, so children pick from this, they observe a lot, and they will take what they see that is going on in the house. And then one other major problem is that Ghanaians who don't like to read. Yeah. All right? So you say if you want to hide something from a Ghanaian, put it into writing. Okay? Most Ghanaians, I'm not saying every Ghanaian, most don't like to read. And so if you don't read, then you won't know what is labeled, what is in there. You just go, oh, you send somebody, probably you want to send maybe a houseboy or house help to go to the market and go and buy you rice. The person brings you plastic rice. Okay. But if you go yourself and you go to buy, at least you know what to look out for, isn't it? So I would say that we can't do everything, we can't stop these things, but if we are on the alert, then we can reduce the probability of these things happening to us. Okay. But obviously, if by mistake you go to drink something that is unwholesome, or you eat something that's unwholesome, then
you react to it.
It has its health implications. Either one, you're having allergy to whatever component that is in the food or in the drink, or you just go sick. You get sick outright, then all I can say is that then the hospital should be your first point of call. Okay. Let's not get local remedies. Let us not go for local remedies. We should go to the hospital and seek professional advice.
Okay. We have Beko from Asante Mampong. Oh, okay. Samuel from Techiman first. Hello, Samuel.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. My program is I'm listening to the
we can hardly hear you in the studio. We can speak up a little bit.
Because if had it not been for me to listen to the program, I wouldn't have even known that we have a number of episodes.
Sorry, I don't know if my tech is, but if we can sort it out, we can hardly hear.
Hello?
Hello, Samuel.
Yeah, can you hear me now? I'm saying that we need more education on the ground, because looking at those of the rural areas, we difficult to even identify some of these products. So we just will help the business food and drug board let the people be on the ground so that they can educate us on some of these products.
Okay.
So that's the contribution that I just want to
Okay. Thank you, Samuel. He wants a lot more education on the ground. And Solomon, if we can get this sound thing fixed as quickly as possible, let's be able to hear what you're saying, because at the moment we can't hear, and that has to be done. This one says, how can I identify fake items using any of the FDA system? Do you have a system that would allow the public to be able to identify fake products or products that are adulterated?
Yes. Yeah, thank you very much. We have our social media handles that you can send information to, and it's there 24 hours. Send us the information, we'll let you know. In fact, I must commend the public. They have been beautiful in this. These days, we are getting information from the public. Sometimes they would send you the digital address that they know of a plant somewhere that is manufacturing sachet water, and it is not registered, because they see that I mean, if it's a registered product, you should see the Food and Drugs Registration number boldly written on it. So they see it's not there, so they're able to send us messages, and immediately we follow up. Okay. So we want to commend the public for what they are doing. They will even take a picture, they send it to our WhatsApp line, and we're able to see. They say someone is defacing a product. I've had somebody, they sent some pictures to us, and we did follow up. And the person actually was sitting at Okaishi, you know, at the foot of, what do you call it, a bridge, and it was a bubble gum, Mentos. And the person had, you know, sort of scraped the expiry dates. Yes. I mean, had tampered with it, you know, and then said that. And the person was then we picked up the person with the police picked up the person because we went with the police.
We'll talk about repackaging, because we hear a lot of people are rebagging rice and things that have expired and actually rebagging them. Somebody says, kindly slide the recalled tomato paste again. I think you need to have the list published again. Can you ask the FDA man the correct tomato paste which we can use, please? That's advertising for a particular brand. But what should they look out for?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, the list as we bring out, please do not patronize these. Send them back to wherever you got them. Alert the nearest FDA office of what you've seen, and we'll follow up. Please, it's very, very important. We cannot do the work without the public. We really need the public. Yes.
Dorothy is calling us from Kolebu. Hello, Dorothy. Hello, Dorothy.
Some contribution. I don't know whether your market surveillance system is working, because there's a medicine going on.
Hello, Dorothy. Kindly speak up.
I wanted to know the market surveillance, whether FDA market surveillance system is working, because there's a medicine at the market which is being registered. It's registered. I don't know whether it's a FDA registration number that they are using. That medicine cures hypertension, diabetes, stroke, a lot of conditions, waist pain, and that. And it is in a ziplock, medicine ziplock. No labeling in a ziplock that it says you should take a mixed green and white tablet. And they say take 4 in the morning, 4. That medicine is not even labeled. And they have put it in the ziplock, put it in a container, and label the container. And it has a serial number on it. But people are just buying it. It is even gone all the way to abroad. People are buying because they say it's good for the waist and all that.
I see.
But I don't know whether the market system, the surveillance system is working. That's what I wanted to know. So that how they go market and then get these medicines. When you go, it's not at the pharmacy, but they hide it somewhere and then take it and give it to people. And people are buying it. But all of us, US and all that.
Okay. Thank you very much. So that's Dorothy's concern. Pharmaceutical products that claim to resolve a lot of health problems, there's nothing to show that they have certification from you, but it's in the market and people are buying. This one says, if I buy a particular product, how can I tell if it is registered, even if it has the FDA logo, and even check on their database using the batch number? I mean, is there any app or application? How do people tell that this is certified and like it's wholesome?
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Let me answer this question before I go back to what the lady was saying. I mean, straight away, products that are registered, food products that are registered in Ghana, you would see the Food and Drugs Authority registration number on the product. So if maybe you had some product here, I would have taken and then demonstrated. for you notice, so it's really to be FDA stroke. If it's a drink, it's DK, then whatever numbers that follows. It is not like a logo. It is a specific.
It's a serial number.
Yes, a specific number, and that number is for that particular company. And so, if somebody tries to fake that number, our systems are able to pick. You know, when our officers are in town, when they come across a product, they themselves, we have certain tools that we use. So we are able to just take the necessary shots, and then they get information back from the office that this product is registered or it's not registered. Nationwide, we use it. And so that's how, for locally manufactured products, that's how you recognize it.
Okay.
If you don't see it, please do not patronize it. Just inform the closest FDA office.
We have a caller from Osu. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Fred.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, how are you there?
Please go ahead, we can hear you.
Yeah, you know, this ranting of the FDA should be stopped. You understand my point? It should be stopped. I just overheard, hello, are you with me? I just overheard Mr. Lati, the PRO. They've arrested some people faking the how do you call it, the expiry date of a Lucozade drink. You understand my point? And they were telling us on TV that we should observe if there's an illiterate, how can an illiterate observe something? So I was expecting some sort of advocacy. Gone are those days we have this advocacy that they will show on the television. So if you are illiterate, you can't write, you can't read, you can observe these expiry dates and already, but telling us they should, who should?
Okay.
You see, the FDA is not performing at all. Take it from me. All what they are doing is just ranting, telling us sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Well, where lies that advocacy?
Yeah.
So they have this in their interest to do all these things, to educate the public about what is happening.
Okay.
We are taking a whole lot of nasty something, and they would come and sit on the television telling us sorry. All what they are doing is bullshit for me this evening.
I understand your frustration, Frederick, but I think the point is well made. And it's a similar question that I asked Jake and Roderick earlier. The issue about asking people to be vigilant, and yes, it is a good thing. But beyond that, people have a lot of hope in your institution to be able to keep the gate for them so that those who can't even read. Now, he just mentioned the Lucozade thing. I don't know if you can confirm or otherwise. And there are a couple of other drinks. A lot of drink coming from Asia. There's a Thai something, and juice, strange juice that are very thick. And people, you see a lot of expiry dates on them, but they are in the market. How are you helping? I think it's about time that you move people in the market.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I actually want to speak to Frederick, the one who just called. Frederick, please, the solution is not to be angry and, you know, unfortunately maybe abusive, you know, as it is. We've done this work for a while. Please, it is a country. Yeah. It is not like somebody's home where some of these things, you know, you could just easily go from door to door and go and do the type of education that is talking about. Because education is going on. In fact, what we are doing now is education. You see, and it goes to people's homes via their television sets and all that. But this thing that we say that food safety, drug safety, it's everybody's business. This is what we mean. Because you are a consumer and you have to take responsibility also for yourself. There was somebody who asked earlier on saying that they saw some medicine or something. What FDA is advising you is that go to a pharmacy. It is you who you choose to patronize some herbal concoction in a vehicle. You have a whole doctor here telling you, come to the hospital, but you decide that you will take your issue to some other places. But the interesting thing is that when people go to places and they mess up and nobody can cure them, the final place they end up is Kolebu. Why do you go to Kolebu? I think, Frederick, it is time, Frederick, that's the name of my father, so you are my father. You know, let's take responsibility for ourselves.
Okay.
We are not being arrogant or at all here. We are trying to say that let us work together, because look out for the expiry date, look out for the food and drugs registration number, buy from a pharmacy. Be responsible for yourself. That is the good thing about technology.
Okay. Wisdom is calling us from Keseman. Hello, Wisdom.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, I sent a message earlier. I think the gentleman haven't answered my question. I want to know, pertaining to the identification of a particular product that I'm buying from let's say, store somewhere. Let's say, is there any arbitrary system in place? Let's say, if I buy a can of, let's say, drink, I should be able to check from the FDA or from a database whether that particular product is registered.
Okay.
Even though because of the sticking of the, how do you call it, the FDA serial numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
So I should sit in the comfort of my home and check, okay, this product I bought. So I just take a snap, enter the serial number. I should be able to retrieve that, okay, this product is original, it's not fake, it's direct.
Okay.
And the other one, the second issue is, at the district level, I once worked with the district assembly, let me make that clear. I hardly noticed FDA at the district assembly level.
Okay.
I don't know whether they have offices, I don't know whether they work there, because I don't even know that FDA is at the district assembly level. So I just want to know what mechanisms are they put in place?
Okay.
At the district assembly level.
Yeah,
so
thank
that
you.
the public and let's say the illiterate at local level can at least work with this assembly and report and make a comment or a complaint about some of these things.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. So I'm sure that where he's coming from, if you take this one, lately, I don't know if this stamp is coming from Standards Authority, is it?
No, this stamp is coming from GRA.
GRA. What does it mean?
This is for revenue purposes.
Yes. So can there be something of this nature that will be able to, the public will be able to see on every food items that they are buying, that once you have this sticker, or QR code or whatever it is, it means that it's certified by Standards or FDA.
All right, thank you.
And can't you fuse into that of GRA, so that before GRA stamps this, it's not just the money, but it's also wholesome?
All right, okay, thank you very much. For the FDA, for products that are manufactured locally, we say look on the label. You would see the food and drugs. If it's a registered product, it will have a food and drugs registration number embossed on it. So that's why I was saying that I just wish I had a product.
Okay, I didn't want to advertise any product, but it's okay. Let's try and get a drink in.
All right, so, well, this is not to advertise this product, but if you...
It's okay, but is it there? Do you find it? There's a, while you look for it, there's a text that says, you found it?
It's here. That's the...
Before I pick you, Michael has been on the line. Michael is calling us from Takrady. Hello, Michael. Hello, Michael.
Hello, good evening, Sammy.
Yes, good evening, Michael.
Yeah, Sammy, my question is, let's assume I imported goods, about 10 containers, and the goods are not expired goods, but I was not able to pay for my duty, and then the time lapses. Instead of the government auctioning that good with less price to somebody else, why can't they consider the importer? Okay. That is my question for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michael. With the issue of auctioning, I think we've discussed it here before, but Customs has a comprehensive program in place for auctioning, and I think that aspect has been considered significantly. This one says, good evening, I am Gilbert Akato from Asenfosu. What is FDA doing about the foods that get into our market? In other places, before you market any food product, you need to go through a process. In our country, we don't do that. For instance, anybody can sit in his or her home and bake bread and other pastries and get them to the market without anybody checking the nutritional value and content of such products. It is time the FDA, they are no longer board, the authority, FDA get bakers regulated. Do you regulate bakers?
Yeah.
You regulate them?
We do, yeah, we do that. What's the name of the person?
His name is Gilbert Akato. from Asen.
Gilbert, thank you for your information. Unfortunately, you are wrong. And that is one of the things that Doc was talking about. There is good information out there, and FDA is doing a lot. We have a food safety management department that does this work, and
Which work?
This work
Regulate bakers.
Yeah,
Yes.
with the
bakeries. What if those?
Yeah, with the bakeries.
Fried to bear fruit in the market. Do you regulate?
No. With the you are talking about, I think he mentioned the bakeries.
Mentioned bakery. But
yes,
because
points where food is kitchens, where food is prepared, they are all supposed to be registered. So when you enter those places, you should see the Food and Drugs Registration, certificate there. So there is a department that handles it. And they are the same who go also to the market to also collaborate with the environmental health, and then they also do education.
Okay, so the bakery...
So the feedback as we started at the program, that I think we all had was that, I mean, we need to improve it, yes. Okay. But as to something happening, there's something happening.
So
yes.
Those who are baking the pies and baking bread,
once
and
you are
them at
exactly once you are catering, where catering is done, the person, because that is a kitchen, business. That kitchen is supposed to be registered. Then whatever things that are coming out that they cater and serve to people, at least you know that qualified persons are there doing that.
Okay.
Yes.
Last week, Jake, you talked about the bags of rice and the contents of starch. You remember when Doc was talking, you talked about sending somebody to the market and they go and bring you plastic rice. The fear is still in the market that the rice that are being sold have too much starch content to the extent that they even end up appearing like plastic. And you admit that on the labels of these bags of rice, it is not stated the starch content whatsoever, yet you allow them in the market.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, when Doc made mention of that, Doc was trying to make an analogy that when you're sending somebody, you need to give the person the right information to be able to get the right products that you want the person to buy for you. Yeah, but like I said last week, in fact, we have done extensive work on this plastic rice issue since it surfaced, and we have picked a number of samples. We have tested them. We called the various media houses. They were there, and we demonstrated to them that, in fact, there's no plastic rice on the markets. And I said that we are part of the international community. We are part of the Rapid Alert for Food and Feed Safety System. We are part of the InfoSan. And if there's any issue of a sort, even if Ghana, we have not detected it, internationally it must have been detected, and it would have been communicated on the international regulatory platforms, and FDA would have picked this signal. So the work that we have done locally, and then the work that has been done internationally, I mean, there's nothing to be afraid of with regard to plastic rice being on the market. There's nothing like plastic rice on the market. So we want to allay the fears of the public that, go buy your rice and then enjoy your rice. There's nothing like plastic rice on the market.
What should they be observant about when it comes to the starch content and all the others as well?
Yes, I mean, look, various varieties of rice would have different levels of starch content. Even the stage of growth, when it was harvested, it would have some of these varieties. Some of these changes. So that's not really...
But does it say on the label so that the consumer is informed the choices they are making?
Oh, no. I mean, now when you take rice would have... There are general characteristics that it will have. You will talk about amylopectin content. That is what, depending on how dry it is. That's why somebody will say, the rice now, 2 GB. Or it's like separate. Yeah. It depends on how well you have dried it.
They don't stick together.
They don't stick together, So all of these things are issues that sometimes people don't understand. And I'm saying this here. If anybody is able to show me what is called plastic rice, please bring it to the FDA, because FDA is being emphatic. There is nothing as plastic rice.
Okay.
We actually had a demonstration. We brought the journalists to our lab. We brought different types of rice. We demonstrated how rice behaves. It is not even economical to even have plastic rice. You can't chew plastic. If you were supposed to have something you call plastic rice, put it on fire. This is basic food chemistry. If you boil it, Doc is here. If you boil it, the water would evaporate. And you'll be left with the plastic just sticking in there. Number two, how do you chew plastic? You chewed plastic. There was one guy who came and complained that he had eaten plastic rice. You ate almost the whole sack. Then you came and said that this is plastic rice.
He's finished eating the whole
yes,
sack.
show me the digestion. How do you digest plastic rice?
But that's also because the information is not available, Roderick. What it is that you are admitting to us that the varieties of rice, for instance, or brands we have on the market have some different forms of or content of starch.
Yes.
Unfortunately, on those labels of the bags of rice, you don't state the quantum of starch that is in that particular brand. So people can't choose. They go and pick something and it turns out to be too sticky for them. And then they say, I've seen plastic.
Please, let's remember that there is a standard for rice. Okay. There's a standard for labeling. And at least we should remember that you can't also put so much burden on the let's say the manufacturer and the bargain.
Okay.
You know, so the basic they're supposed to do, they do.
Okay.
And I really wish you'd also.
Yeah, I want you to touch on it because my time is up in mind.
Yes, I think somebody, please, we are letting the general public know. It's not like we are advertising somebody's. Somebody's
send them invoice. Don't worry, they've shown.
Yes, and I wish the camera could home in on it. It's very small. Any product that you see, okay, any Ghanaian, please, any locally manufactured product that you see. Any locally manufactured product that you see packaged has a label and has no food and drugs registration number is illegal. I'm saying it again. Any locally manufactured food product that you see packaged, labeled, and has no food and drugs registration number is illegal.
Okay.
And you should not patronize it.
Well, what about those that have come through the hands of Jake from the port?
Products
that imported.
Yes, products that are coming from the that are imported that come in. Remember, they are products coming from other jurisdictions, and the importers who are bringing it in are bringing maybe 1 container, 2 containers. Now, they are registered as they come in because you also not allow them in if they are not registered. They will go through the registration process. Unfortunately, because of the low quantities that Ghanaians are importing. I mean, other countries may be importing the same biscuit you say you are importing. You are importing, let's say, 100 20-footer containers, and you are bringing in 2. You are bringing 3, and you say they should label and put the registration number FDA gave. They'll tell you that you might as well go anywhere because for them you really don't matter. Yeah. So if it just maybe they will come in, we have it on our website. You can follow up on our website, just name the product there and you would see it. So people should just, like Frederick, who was a bit emotional, please, let's not get angry.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to pick some news items that are running around the globe when it comes to the port industry. Just quickly, briefly, and then when we come back, we'll wrap up the program, as well as the Bank of Ghana exchange rate. Briefly.
Dryad Global, experts in global issues and maritime security risk management, said that 20 crew members have been kidnapped from a Marshall Islands flagged oil tanker off Benin. The incident, described as the largest kidnapping event in West Africa within 2019, occurred some 110 nautical miles off the coast of Benin on December 15, 2019. The tanker, identified as the 19,100 deadweight tonnage MT Duke, was attacked and boarded by 6 pirates while sailing from Luanda, Angola to Lome, Togo with a cargo of fuel oil. Ship manager V-Ship's Ship Management confirmed that a Togolese naval patrol boat has made contact with Marshall Islands flagged tanker Duke following the attack by pirates of Benin. The oil chemical tanker on December 15 was boarded by 6 pirates who kidnapped 20 of the ship's 21 crew members. The 20 Indian seafarers were abducted while 1 Nigerian cadet was left on board. The company said families of those kidnapped were informed of the situation. Danish shipping major A.P. Moller-Maersk has been named among companies being investigated by Brazilian authorities over suspected involvement in the Petrobras bribery scandal. The investigation is being conducted under the car wash operation, which uncovered one of the biggest corruption cases in the recent history of Brazil, involving the state oil company Petrobras. Federal prosecutors said on Wednesday that shipowner Maersk, Tide Maritime, and Fetchem, who acted as shipbrokers for the company, were being probed over potential links to corruption schemes in ship chartering contracts by Petrobras worth over 5 billion Brazilian reais, equivalent to $1.2 billion. The charters involved the transportation of oil and oil products. 7 maritime industry players and stakeholders have joined forces to promote hydrogen as a form of energy that will help reduce carbon dioxide emissions in Belgium. In the first phase, the partners will carry out a joint analysis of the entire hydrogen import and transport chain. Specifically, the aim is to map the financial, technical, and regulatory aspects of the various components in the logistics chain: production, loading, and unloading, and transport by sea and via pipelines. The results of the analysis will provide a roadmap indicating the best way to transport hydrogen for the various applications in the energy and chemical sectors.
Okay, so as we wrap up, somebody says, hi, Sami Ajaman. Please, for this Christmas, you just go to Okaishi and see how people are selling expired biscuits and fruit juices. Tell the FDA people that these are the places we want them to be visiting Christmas.
Where?
He says Okaishi, so basically he's talking about market. This is a very important discussion that needs to get to every Ghanaian. You see, the problem with our leaders is that they have good policies, but they sit in their offices without going to check the reality on the grounds. I want to say categorically that FDA is not doing that much as expected. They need to set up Gilbert Asingfo, so the one you answered to. Now, they expect to see you at more places, Roderick. You have 10 seconds each to wrap up. What are we to expect going forward?
Yeah, thank you very much. We are not perfect, but we take your feedback. We will work on it. But we also want to say that there's a lot that we are doing, and we need you to give us information. Like somebody just said, Okaishi.
Yeah.
Okaishi is a big area.
So maybe they want you to troop
and that's why
markets.
we have our social media, because we have officers going through the places. So please, if you know specifically where, it's very, very helpful if you can give them to us.
Okay.
We can't do the work without you.
Okay. Jake, before I let Doctor have the last one, what can we do to let the gatekeeping at where you are the best for you?
Okay, so what would benefit importers is to please register your products before you bring them in. I mean, once the product is registered and they get to the port, you clear it within the shortest possible time. You are out of the port.
Okay.
And FDA, I mean, again, you are helping to safeguard public health and safety by doing this.
But if they don't do that, what will you do?
If they don't do that, like I said, we may seize, we may re-export, or we may completely destroy the product.
Okay. Doctor?
Yes, sir, Sammy.
This season, when we encounter any of these, or what advice would you finally give?
I would say that human beings cannot live without food and water. Water actually is very essential. But then if I can quickly give you some few tips on how to eat healthy or healthy diet.
Yeah.
I think we'll go that way, yes. So we have, basically what you have to do is that you must eat meals that are very high or rich in fiber.
Okay.
Also eat lots of fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
You must avoid a lot of sugary drinks and high salt content foods.
Okay.
And then you should know that you should have regular physical exercise, which is an antidote to a lot of diseases.
What about fast
And
foods?
drink a lot of water. Fast foods, that is a very big area. But fast foods are not too good for our lives, our health, because they have virtually effect on every system of the human body.
Okay.
Right from the digestive system, respiratory system, everything, cardiovascular system.
So we can
If
avoid them
that,
this season?
You can avoid them, yes.
Okay.
You can avoid
Roderick,
them. And you should.
Good, thank you. Roderick Dade is the acting head of Food Division, Food and Drugs Authority. Dr. Vitus Victor Anabisi is the head of Health and Medical Services at the TEMA Port, and Jacob Amwaku Mensah is the head of Imports, Operations of Imports and Export, Food and Drugs Authority. Gentlemen, thanks a lot for making time to come. And also, folks, I hope the advice sinks. We'll be back same time next week.